Amen. Thank you.
Got it. Okay. So this is 7:09. We have all of 51 minutes left. The goal is simple. The goal is to help us get some basics as far as vision and strategy is concerned. And over the next 50 minutes, I will speak, you will speak, we will share. But the goal is simple. We're all more educated, more informed, and better equipped to take action as far as our business and enterprise is concerned. So, good evening, madam. My name is Dotun.
Good evening. My name is Titilayo.
Pleasure to have you here. I'm standing in from my friend Tayo, who can't, she's here, but she won't be able to speak. So that's why you have a man standing in your midst. I hope that's okay. Okay, so we're talking entrepreneurship 101, vision and strategy. Basically, the core of all of this is that however great an idea you have, however much desire you have, if you don't know where you're going, you can't get there. It's basically as simple as that. So being able to sit down and ask yourself, why am I here? What do I want? Where am I going? Is an opportunity that could potentially be the difference between long-term success and ongoing struggle. So this evening we'll be speaking specifically to that. Where are you going? What are you trying to achieve? Ask those basic ground-shaking questions. Why are you in business? Why are you pursuing enterprise for yourself? Do you know your why? Right? Those are some of the questions that we'll be asking this evening. Having a clear vision is crucial to success for any entrepreneur. The fact is, and this is study after study has shown that less than 5% of students graduating from school have any kind of written down goal or vision or objective of where they want to be. And it's documented and it's been said that that number is actually around 3%. And most of the time, those 3% are the guys who kind of seem to always get ahead while everybody else floats around, just wakes up 9 to 5, or does, even if they run their own enterprise, they're running pillar to post because the clarity of vision is a challenge. So being able to speak to your why, being able to ask yourself, why am I doing this? And give yourself honest answers. The kind of answers that make you get up in the night and say, okay, you know what, tomorrow morning we are going to get XYZ done. Have I done what needs to be done to make sure I achieve those goals? The kind of drive that pushes you to go the extra mile to see that goal achieved. Because at the end of the day, there's nobody chasing you. There's nobody asking you whether you've written a business plan or not. There's nobody asking you whether you have your budget for the year or not. There's nobody asking you whether you have a clear strategy of how you're going to get your next set of clients. Those are questions that only you have to answer. And if you don't take the time to answer them, then the struggle continues. But when you have a clear focus, a clear vision, I want to build an organization that solves XYZ problem into the near future. That clear articulation is becomes a differentiator for you in your business, in your industry. Because guess what? Some other people are in that industry to just wake up and make some money, period. And making money is never really a strong enough why to keep you going on the good days, on the bad days, get you out early in the morning to go grind day in, day out. There's nothing as empowering as a vision. By a show of hands, you can choose to turn on your camera and raise your hand, or you can virtually raise your hand. Is there anyone that has taken the time to write out a vision statement for their business to say, hey, this is what we are trying to achieve, by when and how? Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Kemi. I see you. Welcome. Now, that is something that makes a difference, because guess what? On the days when you don't feel like getting out of bed, if you take a look, pick up that piece of paper or open up that book or open up that note on your phone and read that once again, you kind of tell yourself why you are doing it. And you decide that that why is strong enough to pull you out of bed. Now, in terms of a strategy, a well-defined strategy helps you to make an informed decision. A strategy is not just a plan. A strategy is a plan that sets you apart from the competition. A strategy is a way of doing the same thing that makes everybody else want to come to do it with you, right? So it's one thing for you to sell suya. It's another thing for you to sell suya specifically tailored to the Canadian palate. Two very different things. You and I know that the average Canadian does not like chili. They don't like hot. They don't like pepper. We love our pepper. But guess what? If you're able to package your suya in a way that the average Canadian palate would enjoy it, then you have a business that's not tied to the immigrant community. It becomes, it has mass appeal. And mass appeal always leads to mass success, always. Sometimes that success becomes the bane of the organization, but at least it will lead to that initial success. So those are the two components that we are going to look at in some measure tonight. Now, when you define your vision, you definitely have to be creating value for customers. Going back to my example of suya, there is always going to be the nostalgia factor. Whenever I buy suya in Calgary, I'm not buying it because the suya is fantastic. I'm buying it because it brings back memories of me after hours on a Friday evening on my way home, picking up chicken suya or beef suya to share with my family. That's the nostalgia factor. Now, nostalgia may be something that is, intangible. What is nostalgia? It makes me feel good. And because I feel good, I'm willing to part with $10 per stick. Steep price to pay. But that's what suya will command in Calgary. And because I feel like having that good feeling, I'm willing to spend that money. That's the value suya delivers to me. The question is, what is the value that you are delivering to your customers, right? Your vision would drive that value. Your strategy will ensure that that value is delivered in a way that is acceptable, welcome, appreciated, which other word? Highly ranked by your clients. Because whether it's something of substance, like food being delivered, or something immaterial, like nostalgia, the fact is, when your clients get the value that they want, they'll literally pay anything to get your service. Whatever they can afford is what they will pay, as long as the desire and the need that they have is being met. Now, As you're thinking about your vision will drive your core values. I'm going to keep going back to my example of suya. The guy who sells suya for nostalgia, who's trying to make me happy, is very different from the guy who's trying to make a fast buck selling suya. The guy who's trying to make a fast buck just says, hey, you know what? Meat is $20 per kilo at Superstore. If I cost that $20 up, I can make 30 sticks. Out of that 30 sticks, if I sell it for $3 per stick, I make $30, $90. $90 is better than $20. I've created some value for myself. Fantastic. And that's a business model. On the other hand, the guy who is selling nostalgia says, hey, you know what? I'm going to create an environment that makes you feel like you're in Lagos. I'm going to make sure that I have the newspaper. It will be clean, it will be hygienic, but you will remember Lagos. I'm going to play the Nigerian music that you like. I'm going to ensure that my onions are juicy, like the Malam's onions, straight from Kaduna. I'm going to make sure that my tomatoes are fresh. My yaji will not be surpassable in Calgary. And I'm going to charge you $10 per stick, even though it is the same $20 chunk of meat that they both bought from Superstore. Now, because he's delivering the value at that level, I'm willing to part with it. Some other people will be willing to part with their $10, right? And that's the difference between the guy who's running a business and struggling and the guy who's running a business and killing it. Because they're able to say, okay, what do you really want? And they want to appeal to every desire and get you to come on board and enjoy that experience maximally. In the midst of that, you bring out your wallet and you pay the money, and you pay it with no regrets, because guess what? They have satisfied you thoroughly, completely. So it's key that you are thinking about your business from this kind of strategic perspective, where you are saying, how am I going from a thought and an idea in my head to a goal that I've written down on paper, to a product or a service that satisfies my clients in a way that will make them not know anybody other person's name apart from mine as far as this service is concerned. So we're talking about vision and strategy. In the midst of this is your purpose. Why are you here? Why are you in business? What exactly are you trying to achieve? The mission. How exactly are you going to achieve this vision that you have indicated clearly to yourself? Now, key, if you don't communicate this vision to yourself by writing it down, you will struggle to communicate it to anybody else that should be collaborating with you. Now, who are your collaborators? Your staff, your other stakeholders, your funders, your bankers, your lawyer, your accountants, your vendors, your customers. If they don't know what you are about, they just know you sell this. That pigeonholes you. But if they know what your vision is, your broader vision, they're able to articulate it and say clearly that you are delivering the value at a level that is beyond the product that you are trying to sell. And that's the difference between long-term success and the flash in the pan. Now, it's critical that you communicate your vision not just to yourself, but to all of your stakeholders, your employees, if you have, your partners, your bankers, your accountants, right? It's critical, because when your vision is clear and everybody around you that surrounds you knows your vision, there are certain conversations that will not happen. There are certain questions that will not be asked, simply because there's sufficient awareness of who you are and what you're about. Do you understand what I'm saying? I'll appreciate some feedback. I know all the mics are turned off and and all the cameras are turned off. but it's always good for me to get some feedback from time to time. And if you have a question, please do not hesitate to ask. I think the critical thing that I want to point out in this slide is, please write down your vision, write it everywhere. Write it on the piece of...
Well done, sir. You're doing well. Well done. It's an excellent presentation, sir. Thank you. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much. So write your vision down, write it everywhere. Write it in a notebook, write it on a piece of paper, stick it on your bathroom mirror, put it on your fridge.
Can I say something?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Dotun. What I was going to say is, some of us that are here might think, oh, we are still small, right? That we are still doing our business, maybe even from our basement or from our dining table, and we don't yet maybe have staff or things like that. I'm just going to say to us that the truth of the matter is, even Microsoft started in the garage, right? A lot of these companies that are now million-dollar companies started in a bedroom, you know. So the fact that you think you're small, if your vision is big enough, you can grow out of where you are. So don't underestimate yourself. So even though it looks like this is a nice PowerPoint, and maybe it's for bigger companies, no, it's not. It's for you, you know. And so that's why it's important that you create, you know, processes and structure and have a vision and write it everywhere on the wall of your house, let your customers know what you are doing, let your vendors know, let your bankers know. I just wanted to point out that, because I know last week, one of the questions we had was, how do I make this practical? How do I make it apply to where I am at? You know, but the truth of the matter is that it may not look like it applies to you, but it really does. Why? You may be still small, but you'll be shocked. It is this kind of positive thinking and vision and strategy that will take you from where you are even to the next level. Like the example that you made about suya. A lot of people sell food in Calgary. A lot of people sell food in Calgary, but you'll be surprised that from even those who sell food, Nigerian food, for example, I would rather go to this person than go to that person. Why? Customers talk. They know quality. People don't want to pay for bad things. You know, there are people that if you're one of those groups, if they talk about some vendors, people talk about African stores a lot. Their experiences at the African store. People are now saying that instead of buying from the so people are now saying that instead of buying from African stuff, maybe I'll order my food stuff from Africa and ship it in, right? It is because people talk. Now, a business idea will say, if you are shipping things, let me start a business to ship food from Africa, you know? But the point I'm making is having a vision and a strategy that separates you from the pack, no matter how small you are, your vision eventually will speak. I have comments here from Mrs. Akineyi. I am taking notes. My timeless wear clothing business is in my basement and I'm enjoying this. Thank you. Thank you, Ma. We appreciate the feedback. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ty. I appreciate that. In fact, I dare say that for today's practical step is the first line in this second section of the slide you are looking at right now. Let's be able to say yes to that. Write your vision, write it down everywhere. Write it on a piece of paper, put it on your fridge, put it on your bathroom mirror, put it on somewhere in your car, put it in your office, make it into some wall art, hang it around everywhere so that the vision is clear and so that people around you know what you're about and they are willing to support you. And the beautiful thing about a clear vision is that opportunities will come as a result of you announcing who you are and what you are about. When you say, oh, my goal is to support 100 entrepreneurs in the city of Calgary over the next 30 days, and people know that you're serious about it and you're constantly putting out content and mentioning it and, you know, announcing it and organizing events and doing stuff that says that, they are going to come to you and bring their problems And as the problems get solved, more people will come to you simply because you've made that known. So, Mrs. Akinei, just like you said that, your timeless wears clothing business, as long as you have that vision clearly written down and it is everywhere, you see it, you say it, you see it, you say it, you're taking active action towards it every day. It's just a matter of time. So that we don't sleep on this, I'm just going to run through a basic SWOT analysis. Now, where you are now, where are you now is important, because the fact is you cannot get to where you are going if you don't know where you are. So you need to understand, what are the things that I'm great at? Do I know stuff? Am I an experienced manager? Do I have a great product that cannot be matched? And my products are affordable? What exactly sets you out? That is a strength that is, on your side, that is beneficial to you for your business. Then the other thing is, what are you struggling with? Are you struggling with capital? Are you struggling with reporting? Are you struggling with tax compliance? When last did you file your taxes for yourself and for your business? Do you have poor customer service, or do you need to redesign your customer engagement process? Are you generally disorganized and you need to have a virtual assistant or a physical assistant to come and support you so that you can keep things moving? Do you have people in your corner? Are you just one lone ranger slugging it out in the marketplace? Or do you have a tribe that's supporting you? These are critical things that we must be able to answer yes or no to. And if it's yes, fantastic. If it's no, the important thing is the essence of the information is that you are using it to your advantage. If you know you are disorganized, get a tool that supports you with getting organized. If you know you are behind on your taxes, find an accountant to support you to get the taxes filed. If you know that you need funding, get an accountant to support you to get your books together to show that your business is bankable and can generate sufficient income to pay back the loans, sufficient cash flow rather, to pay back the loans that you're looking to get. Critical. What are the opportunities that are available to you that you can take advantage of? The first one right there is available to all of us, using social media to advertise and market our business. Critical thing, very significant. It can be very significant and impactful in this day and age, depending on how we use social media. But if all you're doing is sharing cat videos, there's only so much that can do for your business. But if you're actively communicating your vision and the value that you bring to the table, and your clients can find you on social media, and you're using your social media to attract more clients that look like your existing clients, in very, very little time, you have a solid, thriving business. Another one is technology. We can't afford not to use technology. Automations. When it comes to finding new clients, when it comes to booking appointments, when it comes to onboarding new clients, the customer journey, as much as possible, look for a way to use technology, because guess what? Technology never sleeps. You need to sleep for between 6 and 8 hours every day. So that's that. What are the things that can run your business down? There are some of us that if one single legislation changes, business is done. We need to understand those things, identify them, and be able to either put safeguards in place that will protect us, or change our line of business, or change our business completely, because we understand, right, that if this single thing changes, the business goes under. So it's critical that we identify this. So now these are the 3 P's of effective management. I know some of us have MBAs, we've studied this stuff, but it's not just about studying it, it's about applying it. How would it apply to you? The fact is this: you are the focal point of your business. You are the primary, you are the principal, you are the numero uno of your organization. And it is critical that you yourself have the right mentality and mindset about your business. You cannot afford to be the person that wakes up in the morning and says, "Kai, I don't even know what is going to happen as far as this business is concerned today." That's a no-no. That's an absolute no-no. You have to be able to put yourself in a position where you're saying, "I know where I'm going because I have a clear vision. I know I'm a man on a mission and I know what I'm going to go and achieve." and I have written that down. Every day I take a read of it. It's like taking a shot. You're ready to go once again. And that energy that you have infects everyone around you. So whether you have staff or volunteers or stakeholders, anybody that encounters you in that business mode has to meet that champion, that giant, that visionary, that excellent personality that you are growing into, that you are becoming, or that you already are, right? So it's critical, and from you, it flows to everybody that you come across. When you make that your drive, when you make that your purpose, when you make that part of your everyday commitment, the caliber of people that surround you in your organization will only match your standard. And that only means excellence when you are excellent. Last week, we talked a lot about processes. Yes, I was here last week, even though I was hiding in the shadows. We talked a lot about processes. Now, bringing processes to everyday life. I'm going to use our suya example once again. It's one thing to sell suya by making phone calls and trying to browbeat people into buying from you. It's another thing when you have a website that's well designed, that has a contact form, probably a button that takes somebody to WhatsApp immediately so they can reach you directly via message, or a button that allows them to call you directly from your website, right? Rather, call you from off your website from their phone to be able to reach you and place that order. Now, when you have yourself set up that way, it's very different from when you are just trying to look for people to sell to. You know, it's Friday, you sell on Saturday, you're like, oh, I need to call 3, 4, 5 people to see how I can get some sales in and make some money over the weekend. It's a very different world when you set yourself up using technology as a platform, and social media is bringing people to your marketplace, your storefront, which is either your website or your Instagram or your WhatsApp, and they are placing orders and they are paying, and you're picking up the cash even before you have delivered the goods. That's what processes can do for you. So when your customer journey is well defined, well articulated, well laid out, and your delivery process is clearly articulated like that, it's a very different ball game, because guess what? Customers are looking for you. You are not looking for them, or at least you're not directly looking for them one-on-one. You are looking for them en masse using a strategy. Now, the third part is product. Your product is what you're selling. It can be a product, it can be a service. How do you package it? How do you showcase it to the world for them to see, for them to make the choice to choose you among the plethora of other competing goods and services? It's critical that you are setting, how would I put it, that you are displaying and showcasing your product in that light that makes people say, there's only one suya that I eat in this town, right? Only one. And that's because that is the one suya that I like. All the others, none of them reminds me of Lagos the way this one reminds me. And I don't need to call the person before I can place another. I can place another on their website and pay. And I'm certain that my suya will be delivered when I want it. Now, the reason why we are talking about these 3 P's is because they lead to the 4th P. Can we see the last one there? Can anybody say what the last one says? I want to hear voices.
Yes.
What?
Profit.
Profit. I think everybody likes that word, right?
Sounds really good.
Profit. Good. Thank you very much, Remba. Profit sounds really good. Now, when your people, right? When your people, your processes and your products work together, they create an upward spiral that will generate more profit than you can use in your business. It's pulling all these 3 parts together to make a system. That's what makes you a business owner and not just a job owner. Because, hey, if all you are doing is just making calls to say, hey, Ty, are you buying suya this weekend? Remember, I've not seen your suya order for this weekend. Okay, how far? Am I getting an order for suya from you? Whereas if they've all gone to your website and entered their order and paid their money, you already have the money in the bank before you even go out, before you even start cutting the meat to roast, before you start sending orders out for delivery. The money is already in the bank because you set yourself up like that. So without spending too much time,
Doctor,
yes.
please, can I just jump in here? I'm going to use an example. How many of you remember the iPhone? The very first iPhone that came out, and the second iPhone.
The bulging silverback.
Yes, this iPhone. I remember when iPhone started, in Times Square, Apple shop in the Times Square, the one in New York, the line. Say again?
The Fifth Avenue store.
Yeah, the Fifth Avenue. The line went round and round the building. What did Apple do that was different from Nokia or from BlackBerry or from Samsung? They sold a product that applied to lifestyle. They sold a lifestyle item such that if you have the phone, you feel like your lifestyle is being impacted, right? And they fine-tuned every process to the point where they actually had an Apple store. Before Apple store, I don't think any other store had a store. Any other phone store had a phone store. If you wanted the phone and you go to, I don't know where you go to even that time. I think you just went to the
telcos, you go to Rogers, you go to the telcos. The phones came from the phone companies, not from the tech store.
The phone didn't come from, so for Apple sold phone, you still have to go buy the service. All you're just buying from Apple is just the phone, the gadgets. But before Apple did that, all the phones, you have to buy them from, say, Rogers or from AT&T Wireless or from whatever, right? And so they sold an item and we bought into it because they fine-tuned, they had processes to the T of even when you enter their store, how their store will feel, how it will look, what the uniform their employees will wear, the height of the employee, how the product will be packaged, the kind of music. They looked into everything on their product, how to market it, where it's coming from, raw materials, the presentation. They looked at all their processes. They analyzed every piece of this people product process. They gained the knowledge and then they applied the knowledge. The point I'm trying to make is this. The knowledge to succeed is from analyzing the people you have, understanding your customers and your vendors, understanding your suppliers, your bankers, what they want to see, understanding your product. It's not enough to create a good product. You have to also package it in a way that it makes sense, right, to the end user. And of course, the processes that back it up, like having a good accounting system, having a good like Dr. mentioned, taxes, compliance, legislation. Are you aware of those things? Are you increasing your knowledge? At the end of the day, a lot of nations, like if you look at, say, China or even America, they don't compete on religion. They compete on competence, right? They know what they are selling and they sell good things, right? It's not like as if, somebody was making a joke the other day that, Africans, and I'm not trying, we are Black women here, Black people here. So we say Africa, we have religion, we export religion, and I'm a Christian, I believe in God. But then you have countries like China and maybe even Russia, they are competent they know what they are saying, they understand what they are doing. They've studied the product, they've studied the idea, they've studied everything, right? And so the point I'm making is, I guess the takeaway from this session is, let's look at how we can look at our business objectively and then study each aspect of it. Spend the next couple of weeks studying the people that you are with, studying the processes you have in place, studying the product you're about to sell, understanding it, being competent. You'll be shocked at what you learn. And another thing I want to say is, do you have a feedback form? When you sell your products, your service, do you automatically send a feedback form? I had a situation with an insurer not so long ago, and I told them I didn't like their service. They called me back after like 3 days after I gave the review. And guess what? I told them every single thing that they did to me that I didn't like. And they apologized about it and said they'll get back to me or that they'll look into it. And I said, maybe we can do this better or do that better. What processes you guys have, right? If your business is about to grow, in our business, we do that to ask people, how can we make this better? What can we do better? Have a feedback form. Write the feedback. Let people tell you what they really feel about your product. Don't say because you're the only one in Canada doing it and you're only selling to Nigerians. If they don't like it, they can go somewhere else. Nah. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the only way you're going to grow. And like at the end of the day, they say profit is not magic. It's the combination of work that you put into it. That was just what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much, Tayo. Appreciate that. Now, the rest of the slides are going to go through the 3 Ps.
Sorry, Doctor. Are you able to ask people for questions right about now? I don't know if anyone has a question.
That's actually what I was about to do. I was about to say that, hey, the rest of the slides we've typically talked through in terms of talking about processes and people and products. But if we had questions, right, we have about 15 minutes left and we want to be respectful of our time. We want to shut down at 8, drop dead 8, as in we've done all the thank yous, we've done everything by 8 o'clock. So if you have questions, right, or you have thoughts you want to share, you can just either raise your hand or put it in the comment. And if you want to say it, raise your hand. If you want me to read it, you can put it in the comment and then we'll take it from there. But so I will appreciate that now. This is a good time to do that. But I think what I want to say is this. In all of this, the most important part is that we are going to take action. We're going to do something that helps bring this home, right? We're going to do something that is going to incorporate this learning we have in some way into our everyday life, into our everyday business life, right? So one thing that is clear here is, yes, I have my vision written down, but I never thought of writing it down everywhere. So I'm revisiting that for myself and asking myself, okay, how can I put this out in more places? Because the fact is, the more you see your vision, the more energized you are. The more you, particularly when it is a vision that has you going, it energizes you, it really drives you. So what are the things that we as business owners are going to do over the next 24, 48 hours before this week is over, right? That we have learned from here in terms of vision and strategy. So if you want to, you can either put your comments in the chat box or you can raise your hand so that we can give you the floor. But definitely, I am going to revisit the number of places I have my vision hanging out, because I think it just makes sense that I'm seeing it a bit more frequently than, when I open my little book. Yeah. So thoughts?
So, Dotun, somebody before from last week had sent a message in and said they wanted to know more about GST, understanding GST, and how that applies to us.
Okay. Do you want me to? This is my GST is part of my bread and butter. I can do us a quick rundown. Will we find value in that if I go into that right away? I think Tayo is saying that we should just go ahead with that.
Well, somebody asked a question. If somebody has the one question, I think maybe some people else might be thinking of, GST. They asked another question too, but at least let's start with the GST. That one is the practical one. And I think they also wanted to know, how do we not just account for it, but what are practical ways in which we don't owe on GST?
So I'm going to say this. When your business is new, particularly if you invested some money in upfront development, i.e. you built a store or a bakery or something, your GST is your friend at that point, because GST is actually cash, right? GST is not your money, it is the government's money. But the way you collect GST from people you sell to, if your goods and services are taxable, is the same way that you pay out GST to your vendors if their goods and services are taxable. Now think about this scenario. You just acquired a location for your bakery and you're going to build out the bakery. So you build out the kitchen, build out the storefront. Somewhere in that process, you spend somewhere between $150,000 to $200,000. GST on all of that is 10% at $200. Sorry, it's 5% at $200. That's $200,000. That's $10,000 of GST that you've paid out to other people. Now, in that year, even if you don't make sales of up to $30,000, and they say, oh, because you did not make sales of up to $30,000, your GST, you are considered a small vendor, and for GST purposes, you don't need to file a GST return. If you don't file a GST return that year, you are giving up between $10,000 and $8,500 of your money that you would have recovered. Cash. I'm not saying profit, I'm not saying taxable money. I'm saying actual cash that you could have recovered from the government on the GST that you paid to the vendor that built out your store. Now, on the back of that, whenever you have that kind of significant investment, my advice is always, irrespective of your level of revenue, make sure you file your GST return. Because in that first year, you are getting cash back. GST is cash. Subsequent years, it may be you paying money out, but that first chunk is yours and is yours to get. So I always tell my clients, when you have a build out, make sure you collect your GST, irrespective of how much you made in revenue. Always make sure you collect your GST. Unless, of course, you are in a line of business that is tax exempt, which means you cannot claim the GST that you've spent. But as long as you can claim the GST that you've spent, then you should always go to collect it by filing your GST return. Is that clear?
Yes, it is clear. I'm just going to add that GST is a manufacturer's credit. The government gives manufacturers or business owners a credit, meaning that you're allowed to collect back the GST that you pay in the course of your business. So if you pay a lot of GST out and you didn't collect a lot, you get a refund back from the government. I just wanted to clarify that it's a net. So it's a net between the GST that you pay and the GST that you collect, right? So when you buy things for your cost of goods, for your products, cost of goods sold, you pay GST there. When you sell, you collect GST. So you take those two numbers, you net them. If it's more that you've paid out, you get a refund back. If it's more that you've collected, you have to pay that money back. So this is my practical step for today. If you are in a high volume business where you are collecting a lot of GST and maybe, sorry, and when you're in a situation where you're paying out a lot of GST, it is better that you have, even if it's wave, I think it's wave free.
Wave is free.
QuickBooks, set up an account, an accounting account, when I say that, where you can calculate and store these numbers, right? And then in your bank account, you can open up a bank account and develop a habit of moving the GST you have collected into that account, because that money is not yours, it's government money, right? And they can come and collect it. So now, let me now tell you three things, right? There's income tax, there's GST, and there's payroll. The government knows you can manipulate your income tax and not pay a lot of income taxes back. Payroll is if you have employees. Guess where they're looking for you? GST. How often do they audit GST? A lot. Sorry, I have a lot of background noise here, but the point I'm making is the government looks at GST well, and they will audit you if you have a GST account once you collect a refund back. And have I been through GST audits for clients? Yes, I have. And they can disallow or allow some of the money that they've paid you in the past. So the practical step is if you have a GST account with the CRA, open a bank account. As you collect GST from customers, make a habit of putting the money aside so that when you file either quarterly, semi-annually, or yearly, you are not in the hole. It's part of structures, it's part of the financial management that we are talking about. It will be difficult at
Yeah,
first.
let's go. Can we go now, please? Time out.
It will be difficult at first, but it's possible to do. That way, when the time to pay the GST is here, you're not in trouble. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you very much.
Question, please?
Please
Can I ask
proceed.
you a question?
Yes, please.
Yeah, the GST, at what point do a business owner, small business owner, start charging customers GST? At what point? What is the volume of sale should be? Because I learned until you are making about $30,000 per month or thereabout, or either per month or per month, something like that, or per year, I don't know. At what point do you start charging your customers that?
So to answer that question, there are goods and services that are considered to be taxable for GST, whether it is at 0% or at 5% in Alberta, or between 13 and 15%, depending on which other province that, between 8 and 15%, depending on which other provinces that our audience is in. Now, when it comes to federal GST, HST, that money is, how would I put it, is assessed by the federal government based on your sales. You are liable to collect GST from your customers. If you don't collect it, if your goods and services are taxable, you are liable to collect GST from your customers, irrespective. Now, when your sales, your gross annual sales is less than $30,000, you are considered a small vendor. And because of that, your GST filings and reporting is considered to be voluntary. It is not obligatory, it is not compulsory, it is voluntary. However, the moment your annual gross sales is in excess of $30,000, it is no longer voluntary, it becomes compulsory.
Okay.
So it is not about how much, it is more about, first, what goods and services am I providing, if they are exempt or not. So for example, if you own residential real estate and you are renting out that property, there's no GST involved. But if you own commercial real estate and you're renting out commercial real estate, there is GST involved, right? If you sell food items, not takeout, people eating to a measure, there are certain parameters that will make you exempt. No, not takeout, not eating. Raw food materials, rather. So if you own an African store, all the raw food you are selling doesn't have any GST on it. It's the packaged goods, the processed goods that will have GST on them, right? Now, when your annual sales is not up to $30,000, then you don't necessarily have to file a GST return. It is voluntary. You can, it's a choice because you are a small vendor. But once you exceed that threshold, the government is waiting for their money.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so definitely my items are taxable. Ladies' wear is taxable, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't answer that question off the top of my head. I need to go check the list.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Is there somewhere that I can, if I go to CRA site Will I be able
And
to get this information?
yes, you can actually search for GST exempt services, goods and services. It will take you to a page
Okay.
that has an exhaustive list.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. And if you feel like you are done with it and you still feel like you need further clarification, you can reach out to Ty on the group.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. So it's 1 minute to 8. I think we've learned a thing or two. My name is Dotun. I'm happy to be a man that is blessed among many women. Very interesting evening for me. I hope I've been able to share a thing or two from what I know. And my personal desire is that you all excel and succeed and thrive in this business endeavor and enterprise of yours. Thank you very much. Madam T, over to you.
Okay, no, someone just, thank you, Doctor. That was brilliant. Someone said, is there a tool to know which goods and services are exempt? Someone asked the question, Sadetel. Are you able to answer the question in 30 seconds?
I'm just going to drop a link in the group. I'm just going to drop a link in the group and then people can go use that. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Before we go, we have an event tomorrow. Doctor, why don't you do a 20-second? How can we do this event tomorrow, please?
Okay.
Thank you.
So my name is Dotun Ayodele. I run Dexteritas Professional Corporation. In conjunction with the Africa Center, we are running a session on funding, securing funding for your business between $50,000 and $5 million in these economic times. We're going to have 3 panelists, bankers, seasoned bankers. There'll be at least 50 to 60 years of banking experience on tap tomorrow morning, or let's say mid-morning, between noon and 2 p.m. And we're going to be talking financing and funding. So if you think your business could use a shot in the arm, or you are considering lending to support your business, and you are looking at between $50,000 and $5 million, tomorrow is a good day to have your questions answered, because the people that we'll have at the ATB Madalup branch, we will be using their meeting room there. We currently have 34 people registered on Eventbrite. I think I can see, you can share that link in the group. And you can just come in there and just listen. And if you have questions, get your questions answered. And you may actually be able to meet a banker that can get your application started. So that's what's happening tomorrow. And it promises to be quite an informative time. So.
Oh.
So that's it, T.
Thank you very much. So if you I've shared details of this event, of our event tomorrow, the Dexteritas event with Africa Center. It's on the Black Women's Entrepreneurs group. So please get the details there. It's 8:02. I'm kind of eager for us all to go home. I don't want to keep you here any more than you need to. If we all revert back to the WhatsApp group now, it will be great. Can we say thank you so much to Dotun? Thank you so much. Everyone is saying thank you to you here. God bless you.
Thank you very much, everyone. I'm
thank
excited
you,
to be here.
for being the
I'm looking
visionary
forward to seeing great things.
Thank you so much. God bless.
Thank you.
God bless. Rose, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. Much appreciated. We'll make the recording available.
Thank you, Sister Tayo. God bless. Bye-bye.